We've dealt a lot with multiplication of powers and what happens with the exponents, but let's talk a little bit about division with powers and what happens to the exponents. So let's look at an easy example to begin with. 4 to the 5th power over 4 to the 3rd power. Now we could do this out. We could say find out what 4 to the 5th power was and divide that by whatever 4 to the 3rd power was. But there's actually an easier way. If you remember with multiplication of powers, when we had those exponents, we added them. Well, with division of powers, we're actually going to subtract them. So this is the same as 4 to the 5 minus 3 power, or 4 squared, 16. So when you do division of powers, you actually take the number in the numerator and the exponent in the numerator and subtract the exponent in the denominator. Let's look at another example. This with variables. Let's say we had a to the m over a to the n. This is going to be equal to a to the m minus n. Noticing we take the m, we put that first, and then we subtract the exponent in the denominator next, and that's your answer. And that works for all of these. Even if you're dealing with fractions. For instance, if we have s to the 3/4 power, and we're going to divide that by s to the 1/2 power, we can set that up simply as subtraction. S to the 3/4 minus 1/2 power. Now we are going to need common denominators to do that subtraction, so we can rewrite that as s to the 3/4 minus 2/4 power. That's an s, which means that's s to the 1/4 power. Now with this, there are times you're going to get negative exponents. For instance, if I have s to the 2nd power and I'm dividing that by s to the 4th power, we would write that out as s2 minus 4, which is going to be s to the negative 2nd power, which we've learned is really 1 over s squared. Another way to represent that would be to rewrite this as s times s divided by s times s times s times s. So we have s squared on top, 2 s's, right? S to the 4th on the bottom, 4 s's, okay? So when we do that division, we can actually cancel some of these things out. That s cancels out, that s cancels out. That leaves us with 1, not 0, but 1 on the top, because it's division, so s divided by s divided by s, that leaves us with 1. And then these 2 s's on the bottom, which we haven't canceled out, so we have s times s, which is the same as 1 over s squared. So there's really 2 ways of thinking about it. But don't be afraid if you get a negative exponent like this, because you know how to deal with negative exponents now, right? We can use the reciprocal and make the exponent positive.